So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel, and we're on our final ride on the Triumph Speed Triple RS. So it's been an absolute blast to have this bike for a couple of weeks, and sadly it's just been raining pretty much constantly all the time I've had it, so a lot of the riding has been done in the wet. So while I'm a little bit disappointed in the tyres that come as standard on this bike, and these are Metzeler RRK3s, which are more of a dry road tyre. So I managed to get out a couple of days on dry roads, and the tyres were absolutely astounding. Really great grip, good feel through the bars and everything like that. But just on wet roads, I don't feel the confidence in them at all. And I don't know whether that's psychological. They've not felt as though they've slipped at all on greasy and wet roads. And obviously the bike comes with great traction control. Currently I've got it in rain mode because the roads are a little bit wet still. But just the lack of tread pattern on the tyre, it's not inspiring me at all to lean the bike over too much in the wet. And also you can see some leaves on the road now, so winter's definitely on its way. When the roads are not drying out daily, that's a good sign that we're in for damp roads from now on. Hopefully we'll get a good November where we've got some crisp mornings, nice bright days. Certainly hampers the videos in winter. But anyway, back to the bike. So how have I got on with it these last couple of weeks? Very well, actually. Yes, there are some niggles with the bikes, but aren't there with all? If I was to compare this to my Yamaha MT-10 SP, which is what I've owned for the last 3.5 years, so I have a good understanding of that bike as a naked bike. A couple of bikes that I forgot to mention as competition to this the other day, and that was the Aprilia Tuono, and also I think the S1000R. They're all up there, they're all similar. And also I didn't mention the Ducati Street Fighter, which certainly is one of the top hyper nakeds at the moment. But is 200 brake horsepower too much for the road? I think it is, although these hyper nakeds are coming out really track focused. I'm sorry to see that, because most of the life of these bikes will be on the road with a couple of track days a year. On to the good things of this bike. One of the good things I love about this is the suspension. And while other people, and I mentioned it in the earlier video, have mentioned that it's a little bit stiff, I don't find it stiff at all. I think it's really nice for the road. It really absorbs the bumps without too much jarring, and in comparison I think you can't go wrong, really. You've got Öhlins front and rear, you've got the best brakes on the market, with them being the Brembo Stylemas on the front. And yeah, the engine is just beautiful. Quick shifter's beautiful. Negative being the gearbox not being able to get into neutral easy, and that's something that I've seen on other video reviews of this bike, so it's not just an isolated incident. So I think Triumph have to keep that, or do something about that for future revisions coming up. I had a comment, I forget who it's from now, but thanks anyway for it. And you mentioned why a gearbox is not 0 and then 6 up. Why are they 1 down and then come through neutral into second? There must be a reason for it, and if any of you know, then please leave a comment below. I see some of the very early bikes, and I'm talking, you know, decades ago, that a couple of them had got that configuration, and I'm just wondering why more modern bikes don't. Seems a bit silly with all the quick shifters that are on bikes now to actually try and go through neutral. Now we're on a bit of motorway. Not done any motorway on this bike yet, just been trying to get the twisties in. So what's it like? Well, I'm doing 67 miles an hour now behind turbulent air with cars in front. What do we got? We've got 4,250 RPM at 67 in 6th, and I'm in free air, so it's pretty good. There's not too much pressure on my chest, and there's no turbulence around my helmet, as you can hear through the microphone, maybe just a little bit, so it's quite good. Could I sit on a motorway for a long time? Well, probably yes. So we've got cruise control on just now, but yeah, cruise control, hands-free. Yeah, a very comfortable bike. Seating position's really comfy. I mentioned that the pegs are a little higher, but yeah, it's cruising along just nicely there at 73, and the bike is as stable as anything, as you can see, and it's just going along really well. So yeah, great cruise control, nice on motorways. So I would imagine on a long journey with this bike it would be very easy to do, or even a bit of touring. The only downside with that is you've got a lack of any luggage space at all on the rear of this thing. You could probably pop a Krieger tail pack on and maybe a nice comfy rucksack. But for the weekend touring, this bike, yeah, pretty much could do that too. So I've been looking at the dashboard quite a lot, looking down, and I mentioned one of the negatives on this bike was the fact that when I'm looking forward, all I see is road in front of me. I can't actually see the clocks, and I have to literally do that and look down to see the speedometer or any of the switchgear. Now, while the camera, you can see the speedo quite well. Obviously the camera's a little bit lower down, and I'm not sure why I'm using my clutch, probably because I've been riding Bonnevilles lately. Now, I think for the price, I mentioned 15.5k, which is equivalent to something like the ZH2 from Kawasaki, even the MT10 SP, which is similarly priced. Now, I had a comment of somebody, and I think it was through our Facebook group, or it could have been on one of the forums, I'm not sure now, but they were criticising Triumph for being a UK company and also building abroad. One of my bugbears is people that think just because it's built abroad that it's cheaper than if it was built in the UK, and that's not the fact. I actually work in manufacturing and sales, and we produce products in the Philippines, and basically it's all to our spec, all on our machinery, and even our people that work in the factory that we have out there. Basically, it's cheaper to manufacture abroad than if we were to do it in our own country, and that's why manufacturing is no longer in the UK. We all know that. So when I hear comments that, oh yeah, I wouldn't buy a Triumph because of the build quality, well, having ridden around 16 of these bikes in the last 3 months, all different Triumphs, I can tell you that the build quality is some of the best I've seen. And that's not just because Triumph loan me the bikes, and I have to say that. That's my personal, honest opinion from what I've tested and seen so far. So I just wanted to put that out there, because you do get negative comments on channels, and I always hit back if someone's stating something that's not true. Now, I think if I was to own this motorcycle, there's a few things I would do to it. One is the tail tidy, and that's the first thing I'd get rid of. I think the second thing, wish they'd have brought the screen up to about here and then just put a little cowl on the front of it, just like they did on the Street Triple RS. Just makes it look nice. I would prefer it if Triumph had have kept the same colours as the gloss silver that was on the Street Triple RS for 2020. Not a lover of the matte silver colour. Here comes the rain again. It's everywhere today, so I do apologise for the spots on the camera. But that's about it really. The bike has everything. It's got all the top components on it, and for the price of 15.5, I think it's really good value. So after our nice little downpour of rain, to which my legs are now rather wet, having not put waterproofs on today, thought I could nip in between the clouds and miss it all, but not to be. Anyway, like I was saying, the bike itself, yeah, if I owned one I would change a few little things, but not much. It is a real contender to the other Hyper Nakeds on the market. It's got bags of power, more than enough that you need for the road. Slightly down on 200 horses like the Street Fighter from Ducati. I don't actually think you need 200 horses for the road, so I prefer around 160 on any bike for the road. Just do it all bike really, but this has got enough, so you don't need it. Come on, make your mind up. Glad that it has the rider aids and the rain mode, just keeping the bike in check a little bit. I think you need some electronics, especially on the higher powered models. I think on something like an 80 horse or a 90 horse bike, I don't think you need rider aids and electronics. ABS, yes, but traction control, I don't think you need it. So I think the question that quite a lot of you want to know is, would I take this over the Yamaha MT10? Well, I'm not going to tell you, not just yet, because we have still got a comparison video between this and the Yamaha MT10 SP, and that will be coming up in about a week's time, folks, so stay tuned for that. Would I own a Triumph, or would I want one in my garage? Absolutely yes. Previous first rides and things I've been doing lately on all of the Triumphs, I'm really impressed with the build quality. Yes, I would have one in my garage, and there might be one coming soon, so stay tuned for that also. See which one goes in the stable. But yeah, if you're a subscriber to the channel, thanks again. And if you're a new subscriber, and I appreciate it, and hit that subscribe button, ding that bell. I'll catch you all on a future video. What have we got coming up next in first rides? Well, we've got the Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE, and that's coming up shortly. We'll have that for a week to test and put it through its paces, and try and get some off-roading on that bike with it being a scrambler. We'll catch you on that one. But anyway, so have a great day guys, and we'll catch you on another video. Cheers.